Joe Samaniego National Raceway, Ben, the Portland 112. That was quite a race. The battle for the lead, we saw William Sawalich, Brandon Jones fighting it out. What were your thoughts of their battle for the lead?
Yeah, really a battle between those two the entire race, kind of like we predicted. They were two favorites, and I know William was a little bit upset that he got beaten to the pole, but he certainly made up for it, made the pass on Brandon Jones, and then had several opportunities to hold it on the restart, survived a bit of a scare when Jack Wood went into the grass, and that was a moment that I think took everybody's breath away, but obviously was still able to come out with the win, and I think that's, like you mentioned in his post-race interview, I think going to provide a lot of positive momentum for him as we head into Sonoma next week.
Yeah, next week, another road course for him, all the field. We had the opportunity to ask him a question. Here was William Sawalich in the press conference.
Yeah, great battle with Brandon Jones for the win. How much of a confidence boost is it knowing that he's got a lot of experience, obviously multiple-time winner in Xfinity series that you're trying to work your way up towards? What does it mean to you to be able to go out and pass him for the win and ultimately go on to beat him?
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure really cool. He raced me hard all day. I learned a lot of things behind him. So just be behind him and kind of wait for him to make a mistake or wait for me to get a run to get that chance to pass him. I had plenty of time. Just needed to save my tires for when I need them most. It was cool to be able to race him and congratulate him too. Just awesome racing.
Now, Ben, one of the racers we talked about on the Women in Motorsports, Isabella Robusto. What an effort. Qualifying didn't go too great. Raced her way up 4th place. She made a move to 3rd place. Really, if Jack Wood's car was just a little bit closer to the front two, she would have been in the catbird seat or maybe even collected up. But your thoughts on her impressive run today?
Yeah, well, if she keeps driving like this, she's going to be a winner one day. I'm sure of it. She'd rather do it passing those cars on raw pace rather than having the three leaders kind of have the C's parted for her. But she was in position to take advantage of that if it had gone slightly differently, and more power to her because, like you mentioned, the qualifying didn't exactly go as well as she would have liked, but still the highest finishing Venturini car. And judging from her 3 ARCA starts so far, I don't know, the best female stock car racing prospect since maybe Shauna Robinson. I mean, because even Haley Deegan, who won a few West Series races, she was not this fast in just her first 3 career starts. So she's already apparently appears to be knocking on the door of a win, and that's great to see.
So we know you got Sonoma. You've had some great runs in Nashville, a bunch of races already this year. Is there some other tracks you're looking at this year where you got a circle like this is the one I really feel good about a potential win?
I'm feeling really good about the 2 Irwindale races. I feel like Nashville was a big help with that, kind of figuring out, again, this car on a short track and how that works. So on the sim, I feel really good about Irwindale. It's pretty similar to some of the racetracks that I run in the late model. So I think overall that one's definitely circled, and Kansas getting onto a big, not super speedway, but a bigger track compared to what I'm used to, and just kind of trying to figure out that aero and how the aero works is going to be one that I've got circled.
Now, Coach Robusto, 3rd place, as mentioned. C's almost parted for her. Do you think Jack Wood really had any alternative besides going to the grass? Because I was starting to wonder if he had just collided with the leaders, he may have still taken himself out with front end damage.
Yeah, I don't think he would have slid off the track as far as he actually did, and I think Charlie Crawley even mentioned this when he was calling the race on Flow Racing. He kind of made a move that was best for the race rather for himself, and really took himself out of contention rather than potentially maybe lessening his damage and not flying so far off the track, but also taking out the 2 leaders. So credit to him there for the great car control, if he had any car control in that situation, which certainly, like I said, a bit of a scary one that caught everybody off guard. But all things considered, I think certainly not as bad as it could have been, that incident there.
And of course, one of the drivers we were all watching, Marco Andretti, started up towards the front, comes home 7th place. We know he got damaged early on in the race. I'm just feeling like this is sort of becoming a little bit of a mediocre run where with the Indy 500 wasn't much of a factor, crashed out. A lot of people thought he would be one of the favorites. He has racer, granted in the Indy car, very different. Do you think this was the kind of realistic result, though, considering this is his first time in a stock car here in Portland?
Yeah, I think all things considered, not a terrible day for him. Obviously, the car had a lot of speed. He qualified 3rd, so kind of the best of the rest after the front row, like we were talking about there. So I'm sure he would have liked to finish there, maybe even a little bit higher. and been in contention for the win. But, given his problems that he had, the start of the race that shuffled him back, he had to get the free pass just to get back on the lead lap to recover up to a 7th-place finish. I think pretty solid result, all things considered, for his race.
Now, of course, one of the storylines everyone was following, the two local racers, Caleb Schrader, Eric Johnson, both of them unfortunately just not having a good day, where Eric was running towards the top 10, midfield, put it in the wall. Tough break, but we know he's running the full season. Do you think this is something where going to Sonoma he could just put it behind him, or he raced Sonoma last year, just focus knowing that, hey, I raced here before, just try to do a better job?
Yeah, well, again, it's nice for these drivers to have those two races back-to-back. So, obviously there's disappointment from how this race ended here today prematurely. But the good news is there's always next week, and in this case it's a literal sense because you're going to another road course, and it is actually next week. The next race is, only 7 days away here. So it is an opportunity for those guys to bounce back, and anybody that had a day today that didn't go exactly according to plan, they'll get another shot at it next week in Sonoma.
Next weekend, Sonoma for them. Of course, we're going to be on the air tomorrow. We got the Xfinity Series, the Pacific Office Automation 147. We've seen some of the drivers already scouting around. Frankie Muniz was over in turn 11, 12 looking at it. Overall, the hype and everything, have you had any change in drivers you're going to be watching for after seeing some of the races? Has Brandon Jones become a driver where it's okay, maybe he could be up there because he did race today pretty well?
Yeah, Brandon Jones, I think, certainly didn't have the start to the year that he was hoping for. I think the entire junior motorsports team really has been looking for speed a little bit. They seem to have that now. Allgaier's back on the way up. And Brandon Jones, I guess a class win last week at Charlotte was Chase Elliott, the Cup driver, coming in and stealing the win there in the Hendrick 17 car. But, yeah, I mean, he had a solid run today, so you got to think that's positive momentum for him for tomorrow. And, I think there's always going to be, Cole Custer is obviously the defending winner of the race. He's going to be more motivated than ever given the news that we got about Stewart-Haas this weekend. But I think, obviously, your two main favorites have to be the Kaulig Racing 1-2 punch of Shane Van Gisbergen and A.J. Allmendinger, especially after how COTA ended for them after they looked to be running so well. Mm-hmm. They've got to be more fired up than anything to have another opportunity at locking themselves into the Xfinity playoffs with another road course right here at Portland.
Yeah, one trophy claimed already. William Sawalich got the ARCA trophy. The Xfinity Series trophy still in the back of the media center, ready for somebody. And, of course, we encourage everyone to subscribe to the Grid Network so you don't miss any of our coverage right here from Portland. For Ben, I'm Joe. Thank you for watching.